Hello and welcome to day 21 of the World Cup Minute. Brendan, the World Cup Minute is now old enough to drink here in the United States. We did it. We did it, Joe. We got through 21 episodes of the World Cup Minute. I guess we have one more to go on Sunday.
Incroyable. Well, I mean, heck, the World Cup Minute is going to turn into Croatia v. Morocco 24/7. This is the matchup
That's true.
that everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Hakimi
do a
and Ziyech versus Modric and Perisic and the like. What juggernauts?
Maybe our plan is.
Go on. What?
Maybe our plan is we're not going to do a World Cup Minute for the third place game unless it's really good, and if it is, then we'll break our rule and pop on for it.
Hey, how about maybe an online poll for our listeners? Like, how? Some people, like I never really believed in like star signs and horoscopes and all of that until I learned more about me being a Virgo, and it all started to make sense. And as a Virgo, I'm all about completing the set. Like, it all has to be organized and just so. So I'm sure there are some listeners out there who probably just actually hate the World Cup Minute, but they keep listening because they feel compelled to complete it. So maybe we have to do the third place match for those people.
Yeah, that's true. We want those DLs. All right, so maybe we'll do it, and maybe we won't. Let's keep it very open ended. Yeah. I guess we could turn it into like this is like a conversation we should be having before we start the recording of this podcast. But you know what? We're keeping on. I'm a Taurus, Brandon. I'm stubborn, and so this is in character for me.
Perfect.
So we're now done. We're at the final. We got the dream final, the final that everybody, I think, going into this World Cup probably, I mean, outside of your own kind of personal nation rooting interest would want. I mean, you've got two of the great countries in World Cup history, two of the great footballing nations, and two of the greatest players in the world who play together. I actually kind of forgot about that until I was thinking about this afternoon, that Mbappé and Messi are teammates.
That thought didn't even occur to me either. Like, Messi is so ingrained in our footballing imaginations as obviously a Barcelona player, but I think now he just kind of exists as Messi. Since he left Barcelona, now he just kind of stands alone. But they are teammates.
It's weird,
right? Do you
right?
think Messi pays attention to what Mbappe is doing at PSG? Is there any insight that's being made there?
I know that there are that Messi is maybe secretly, he benefits sometimes from the Ronaldo comparisons. That it's like he's the angel and Ronaldo is the devil, and to be sort of, I mean, that is sort of like broadly how people sort of frame the two of them, right? But there certainly are competitive, strong arm elements to his personality. There's a book that I won't pretend that I finished reading it, Brandon, but there's a book that I've started reading by who's that economist writer? I'm going to forget his name right now, who writes about football all the time. It doesn't matter. The book about Barcelona that came out last year. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So Messi has a tough side to him, and I think that we saw it when he sneered at Wolf Veg. What was his first name?
Simon Cooper, by the way.
Simon Cooper.
People
thank you.
Screaming at us.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful writer. One of my absolute favorite football writers. I'm sorry I couldn't think of his name. But him, sneering at Weghorst, and there's some talk about him being pretty. Playing some hardball at Barcelona as well before he left. So I think that he knows what Mbappe is doing, because Mbappe is it'd be like if Michael Jordan and I don't know, Kobe Bryant were on the same team or something like that. Like, of course there'd be a kind of tension there, even with the age difference. And it really is. And this is the problem I have with Mbappe is, please go to a different club. I have no issue at all with Ligue 1 at all. And glad it's there. I occasionally watch it. Randomly, it's like on YouTube TV. You can, like, almost all the other global nations, you have to get like a streaming service or whatever. But with Ligue 1, you can just pop on your TV and watch it. Yeah. So I like French football, but it tends to be a little bit, and it just doesn't seem like it's quite as, the Bundesliga, the incredible fans, I don't know. And it's like, I just want him, or even,
La Liga.
La Liga, of course, where La Liga has, at the very least, 3 super competitive teams, a little bit like the Premier League. And then the bottom is maybe a little weaker in La Liga, but La Liga is a relevant league, super important. And even Serie A in its sort of I'm like, I don't know, this is like nothing to do with today's game, but Serie A in its sort of faded glory has a kind of beauty as well, right? These
What about the Dutch
120,000
league, Josh? What if Mbappe moved to the Dutch league?
Well, the Dutch league is great because it's purely entertaining. You know, do we have any other leagues you want me to talk about?
Portuguese
I can go
league.
through them all.
What about the
Portuguese league is great too because it's a breeding ground for some of the great players in the world. It's remarkable how many players come through Portugal before they go on to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world. But they're also Portugal is like sneaky awesome frequently, right? Like winning like Champions Leagues and Europa Leagues and this Benfica squad this year is awesome. Like it could really be like that Ajax team from like 5 years ago. Remember that team that almost made the World Cup final if Lucas doesn't have a hat trick.
The
in
Champions
the
League final. That would be some story if Ajax got to the World Cup final. But yeah,
that's true. Break the. That's what they should have done. The Dutch should have just brought the Ajax team with them and just Dusan Tadic and just switch countries. All right, so we had an actual game there today. We maybe not one of the more compelling. There were moments certainly because you have the overhead kick that didn't go through. You had Morocco had a handful of chances. Their XG for the match was lower than I was expecting. I think it was under 1. It certainly felt like they were threatening at times, but ultimately it just never felt like they could win that game. Obviously the 5th minute goal changes everything. It's a little similar to yesterday's match. Honestly, they just you had a talented team that played really well and kind of took it as far as they could go. And injuries, I think it was age maybe more with Croatia and injuries. I think with Morocco, and that was it. They went as far as they could, and I think it's sort of exemplified with Romain Saiss going off substitution in the 20th minute, and then you're like, okay, like you guys played really well, and they still had some moments, which was great, but I think even those moments that didn't happen, right, like the overhead kick. It's like the French defense was too good. It wasn't like they were getting easy chances. I mean, a more shambolic defense probably does concede a couple of goals to Morocco today, and France is just great, kind of top to bottom. And Hugo Lloris, I'm not like his biggest fan as a Spurs player, but I don't know, France Lloris is pretty good, I have to say.
Yeah, and Morocco, we talked a little bit about the injuries that Morocco was trying to fight through yesterday, and as you said, Romain Saiss tried to be fit. He could only last 20 minutes.
Well, like France, I don't even know that. That's one of your for anyone who doesn't know, Brandon's father was a butcher, and so he often peppers his conversation with
choice cuts of beef. That'll be a great section for the next time we do the World Cup Minute. Is my choice cuts of beef corner of the podcast. But France's by comparison, France's team is just so deep. They were able to bring Konate in as a reserve center back, one of the great new signings at Liverpool this season, and Rabiot was unfit to play, and so you bring in Fofana for them. So France they have the squad depth, whereas smaller nations like Morocco just don't, and that is it was like the clubs, they were able to rotate some of their squads in the last round of group stage, France being one of them, because they have a whole other squad. And maybe it didn't help Brazil in the long run, but if you need to make a sustained push through an entire tournament and France tries to play sometimes a pressing game, you've got to have fitness and fresh legs. So kudos to France. I agree. It was unfortunately never in doubt to make it terribly dramatic. I enjoyed Morocco just really kept going for it until the final whistle. Of course they would. Yeah. It's the World Cup semifinal, and they had their fans there to spur them on, and they did at least make it exciting, even though I agree, Josh, that it just never felt like France was going to lose this game.
Yeah, I think that's right, and everyone's sung Morocco's praises, and we certainly have done some of that on this podcast as well. And so I think that there's no need to rehash it. It's been a great tournament for them. I thought one thing I noticed today was that it really felt like a home match for Morocco. I was surprised. Fake whistles, a lot of vuvuzela type, whether they were vuvuzelas or something different, lots of noise. And it was like, you remembered
You
like
think it
this
was
is
just
what
people, do that thing when they put their hand under their armpit?
under the
Do
armpit.
that?
Yeah, I think
Lots of
you got
that.
a little bit of that. You got about 10,000 of them were doing that, and so then you had 10,000 vuvuzelas as well, and then 10,000 blowing whistles. They had to clamp down on those whistles. It was very difficult to figure out. Half the match, I thought they were booing, they were whistling for a foul. It was really, I guess that was the goal.
Here's an
but,
obscure reference. New to Netflix here in the U.S. Prisoners, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. Boy, whistles! I feel like there were a bunch.
Is that any
of
good? Have you watched that? I watched Bullet Train last night. It was okay. A little in love with itself. It didn't. It was fun.
Prisoners is a good, like, if you like mystery, like convoluted mystery thrillers, it's good.
Yeah.
It goes on for a little bit too long. It is thrilling, but my sense is, given the use of whistles, that everybody in Qatar has recently watched the movie Prisoners.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a great promotion for that. It's like an 8-year-old
Really
movie,
is.
right?
Qatar FIFA World Cup 2022, brought to you by the hit film Prisoners.
It wasn't even a hit. So I think, I thought the crowd was good. It was actually a reminder that club football is returning, because that's what a club football match sounds like. And the World Cup is a little bit like the NCAA tournament here in the U.S., which is that it's you do get some fans there, and the camera always does a great job of showing. It's always funny because you see that, like, you can kind of the giveaway is you start seeing the same fans a lot, right? And there's sort of like, I remember there's a Mexico match where there must have been about 18 Mexico fans in the entire stadium, because I saw the same 18 people every time they did a crowd shot, and so you get these sort of polite. I mean, basically, you get rich people, right? Because who else can afford to go to Qatar or really any of these World Cup countries? Yeah. And so you have a bunch of rich people who are sort of, they're mostly soccer fans, I would think, / football fans, and I think that they just want to see a good match. But this Morocco game was one of the few in this World Cup where I felt like you really saw a crowd that really wanted one of the teams to win, and that was fun. And I think for the final we will get some of that, because Argentina they have some pretty good fans there as well, and France just in general it's just a popular. I mean, both of them really. I mean, both countries have lots of supporters globally. There's lots of massive players, and I mean, if that crowd isn't lit for this World Cup final, I don't know what they could want, because what else outside of, I guess, Brazil? I'm not even sure that Brazil team would have been more fun. I mean, to me, Messi is more charismatic as a player than Neymar, and it's just terrific. I'm really excited.
Right? Yeah. If Brazil gets to the final, what history does Brazil make? I mean, they make history in that Brazil wins another World Cup, which is amazing. But Messi to further cement his place in history will be incredible to bear witness to. Or
not a fan of the Brazil does have the kit. The kit, the Brazil kit is like the Yankee pinstripes, right? It just looks like the gold standard of kits, and the Argentina kit is it's just bad. I'm sorry, I've never been a fan of that blue and white striped. I just think it's weak and unflattering and doesn't look great on TV. Just not a fan, Brandon. Not a fan.
Yeah, it doesn't. It was not a kit designed for broadcast television. It is a little too pale compared to that, like, canary yellow and
or the French kit.
Yeah, how many Brazilians have become Norwich City fans of the Premier League just so they can repurpose all their yellow crap?
And we did we said goodbye to a good kit today, because we said goodbye to the Morocco kit. It's we're slipping a little kit talk in here late, Brandon. But do you want to talk about the goals at all? I thought the opening goal. I mean, they were both they weren't great goals. The first goal was a kind of just sort of flopped around. I mean, both the goals were kind of flopped around, fell in the right spot kind of goals, right? Which I guess is just a function of pressure.
Yeah, I think it was just the force of France's will to get the ball in the net. Sometimes that's just how it's done. And compared to the goals that Argentina scored yesterday, they do pale in comparison. But you just have to. I think the goals that France scored is kind of a reminder of it's a great team. It's not generally not down to an individual performance, except for that one Mbappé match that we had a few matches ago where he scored his brace. I would love to see that version of Mbappe come back through the final. I mean, certainly teams are smart enough to try to mark him out of the game as best they can, but he was, I guess, responsible for the second goal that France scores because it's scored off of a blocked shot that he's taking.
Yeah, I think Messi is like advantage Messi. I think when it comes to the golden ball going into this final for sure. I mean, I think it's like Mbappe's doing the play behind the play or whatever. Both cases, I think both the goals were like that. But Messi's he's doing the real thing, Brandon.
Messi is, I guess, for all the stats heads out there, is technically leading the golden ball race because one cannot share the golden. It's the golden boot, I should say. One cannot share it. The first tiebreaker is assists, and currently Messi has 3 assists to Mbappe's 2 assists. So if the goal tally stands as it is, then Messi, I guess, like, is he?
God, the kid win it all. Then that's crazy. He win the golden ball and the golden boot. I feel like that doesn't happen very often. Someone's going to not be like, yeah, it's happened 9 times or whatever, but
many times,
I'm sure. But like Wesley Schneider, I think, won the golden boot or golden. But now I'm confused about whatever. You know, the most goals scored, and that was in 2010. I remember. Certainly didn't win the other one, whatever that one was.
The World Cup.
Yeah, the World Cup. Was it Iniesta who won the golden ball? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I actually, and it's crazy because I was just realizing as we were talking that I was remembering that the Rabiot didn't play today, and he has been so good in this World Cup, and it's what incredible depth this country has. It's just as you were just saying. I mean, it's just. Yeah. Like it'd be like if we just lost Weston McKennie as the U.S. just right before a semifinal, and with them it was fine.
That's right.
Didn't matter at all. And
I think it was illness that Rabiot was out, so it would probably be a worry for the final that France will have a full strength squad.
Yeah. But again, probably doesn't even matter, right? As long as we get Messi versus Mbappe, it's gonna be great. I'm really excited about it. Now I think we should do, Brandon, a third place look ahead, just to be completists about it. Mm-hmm. And so then we will have done 23 days of World Cup potting. So let's end it there. I'm really. How could you not be incredibly excited about Sunday's game? It's going to be amazing. We have to figure out what our watch plan is, Brandon. We need to talk about that. I was texting with one of our buddies. We may try to, I don't even want to try to organize a Brooklyn meetup because it's going to be so chaotic. But this feels like one you want to watch with your friends if you can, because it should be just a really fun and exciting match.
If there is a little Buenos Aires somewhere in your metropolitan area, seek it out. Or maybe there's a little, let's see, not Paris. We don't want a little Paris. We want like a
Marseille,
Versailles, little
Marseille. Yeah,
Marseille. Sure. There you go. Seek it out. Go out, enjoy the match, and don't forget about that third place match because, whoo-wee,
they tend to be high scoring, fun affairs. Yeah, we'll see what we get out of those. I mean, because those are both. You have an exhausted Croatia team and an injured Morocco team. So, yeah, let's see like a 3-2. In my head, the third place game is always a 3-2 match. So,
but these are teams that are defined by their defense, right?
But they're also just exhausted. They're also just that's what I mean. They're exhausted and they're injured. So I feel like that's going to erode the defense stuff a little bit. So. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for sticking with us for 21 of these. And we will be back recording actual Fantasy Premier League content in the next few days. We're going to wait until the World Cup is over because it's just too hard to do the pivot until then. But and we're also going to start a second half league. So if we have people who have actually started listening to this podcast since the World Cup started who have not been listening to us before, I don't know how many of those people are out there. I assume there's at least 3, and so if you're one of those 3, we're going to start a second half league as well, and we want to have some prizes for that league, and sort of just give people who feel totally. And also, if you're currently playing fantasy, you can join that league as well. It's just going to start with that Boxing Day set of fixtures, so something to look forward to. Everyone, you have free transfers as well, and so. There's double game weeks. I don't know. I'm getting like a little. I've started to think about it a little bit, Brandon. You know how it's like you open Pandora's box and suddenly you're like, oh my god,
and then it just like takes over your brain.
Exactly. So we'll be talking more about that in the next few days. But thank you to everyone, and thank you to our Patreon supporters too. We haven't been talking too much about Patreon, but thank you to everyone who's stuck with us during this kind of month away. You know, it's just sort of a awkward thing the way that they've thrown a World Cup into the middle of our Premier League season. But thank you to everyone who's stuck with us. And if you like the pod and you want to support the pod, you can go to patreon.com/alwayscheating. Get access to bonus pods during the Premier League season. So as soon as we start up again, I actually think I might try to do one even tomorrow, Brendan. That's how committed I am. I might just pop on and do a little solo one. So and then we'll be back with regular bonus pods once the season returns. So we'll talk to you soon. It's been a great World Cup, and I'm looking forward to the final. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.